Hey guys, back here now with another tutorial. Sorry, it's been a while since I've done one, but today's tutorial going to talk about low end, just a little bit of stuff that I do when I make my tracks and things that took me a wee while to figure out. Nothing groundbreaking, I think, but just it could be helpful to some new producers out there who are really struggling with the low end, because the low end is so important. It is like the most difficult part when you're mixing and making a track. So if you can get this right, it'll definitely improve all your tracks. And yeah, it's just a simple thing which I've picked up and I've been doing for a while. So obviously I've got three different styles here: Melbourne, electro, and like a big room sound. Okay, now if you're making either of those three tracks, you need to just understand how your low end is going to work. So everything under 150 hertz, like in your sub-region, that stuff is all crucial. You need to make sure, this is the key point here, the key point is only have one element playing at a time. If you've got two things that are hitting a same sub-note, then you're in trouble. It's going to sound terrible, and there's going to be little distortions, clicks, pops. You need to have, so like obviously if you've tried to, sidechain a kick in a sub bass line, if you don't get it right, you know about it. It sounds terrible. So, assuming that we're making a Melbourne track, these are the little things that I think you should look out for. Okay, now there's two great tools here which I'll be using in this tutorial, and that is this LFO tool. You can use the Kickstarter from Nicky Romero. Basically, I'm going to use this to shape my kicks. Okay. I'm going to use it to shape the tails of my kicks. And then I'm also going to be using this free analyzer here from Vox & Go. And you can see here, right down the bottom, just below my mouse, or just above my mouse now, you can see it shows you, as you zoom up and down the spectrum, what, say like 200 refers to G3 and 100 is G2. Okay, so this is a really great spectrum analyzer, which I will be just sort of referring to. Okay, so let's say we're going to be just making this little Melbourne bounce loop. And by the way, my three kicks and my three synth presets I'm going to just chuck them in a free pack, so you can download them if you want, so you can experiment with them yourself. Okay, so let's have a look. So this kick, we all know Melbourne bounce is a kick and then an offbeat bass. Okay, so that is your whole low end. Your kick and then your offbeat bass. So this is how you want to look at it, like this. Okay. You're going to have nothing on the beat with your synths, obviously. And ideally, you're going to have nothing in your kick on the offbeat. Okay. Now, you can see here, if I just join these guys up like that. If you're looking at this kick, and this is before I've done any work with the LFO tool, if I just play it, and if I just play it with the sub here, they're not working together that well, because you can see, looking at the audio waveform, that there is still audio traveling through this offbeat section. That's not good. That's really bad. So that's why I'm going to use this LFO tool. And if I just bring it up here, you can see I'm actually, so all this dark spot here is basically, it's going to be silence. So I'm rolling off the kick's tail. So now the kick and the sub are now working together much better. So this is one of the points I'm wanting to get out there with this tutorial. Is a really great thing for you to do is to always bounce your kicks to audio. So just to make sure that you can see what the kick is doing. So now, this is what we want. This is the kick here. You can see the kick completely ends right at this point here, and this is when the offbeat bass sub is playing. So that's how you know that your kick and your sub aren't going to be clashing, and you can push them nice and hard. So there's this guy here, so we don't need that guy. Okay? And there's the top guy. Okay, but the other thing I want to talk about as well is obviously now we're making sure that these things aren't playing together. These layers of sub aren't playing at the same time. You want to make sure that they're also in the same key. So there is this guy here, and if I just play the kick, you can see that it's G1. Okay, so that's what I did here. I often write down with my tracks what note that it's sitting in, G1. So I know this kick is a full spectrum kick. It's going right down to whatever that is. Was it 49 Hertz? Okay, so that's nice and beefy. And then of course this sub here, good one. Okay, this one here, you can see again G1, 49 Hertz. So you know that this is also going to be providing sub to the offbeat section after your kick stops playing. And you know that your whole low end now is a nice complete low end. They're not playing at the same time, and that's the basis of the Melbourne bounce. Now, if we were to come along to this electro part, it's just a bit rough. It's just laid down just for the tutorial only. Again, but you can have this preset. The preset is going to be included, and it's just been run through some distortion. Anyway, electro. Again, if you're making electro, you're going to be wanting big bass lines. Okay, so you want a lot of room in the low end so that you can put your bass lines. Therefore, you only need a tight kick. All right. So again, if you've got your kick as a MIDI block, I recommend just quickly bouncing it to audio, and then you can see what's going on. Okay, again, it looks very similar to that kick I was just working with before, but it certainly goes over halfway, and it pretty much goes 3/4, and little bits of trail there, of the low end bumping right up to the next kick. So again, that's not really that ideal when we're trying to make big bass lines with, big sub, because they're all going to have to get out of the way for that whole kick, and it just won't quite work and have the same feel for this electro. So if I get rid of this guy here, now then, again, this is when I get up and I get this LFO tool, I turn it on, and you can see I've made this kick even smaller than the Melbourne kick I just showed you before. Okay, so it really is just going to be a tight kick. Bounce it out now, show you the difference. Okay, so straight away you can see it's just a tiny little kick. Lots of room for your sub. Okay, that's important. Bounce your kicks out to audio whenever you can, and you can actually see how long the kick is. Because if you've got bad monitors and you can't hear for crap, then maybe your next best bet is to actually, print the kick out so you can see. Yeah, I mean, that's really all there is, and then obviously that leaves you a lot of room for your sub. So tight kick leaves you a lot of room for your sub, and as long as you've got your side tuning spot on, then that's great, and that's all sorted. And again, you can check out to see. This kicks a G, and this will be a G as well. Down the low frequencies, yeah. I mean, obviously I'm playing a couple different notes, but that's taking up G1. So that's how you can do it. That's G1. Again, this is doing the G1 roll, and then this guy here. Okay, so you can go, this peak here is G2. So there's nothing in G1 because I've rolled it out with this EQ. Okay, their EQ is rolling out all the stuff in G1, that low end frequency, because I don't need it. This guy here is doing all the work of G1. This guy here is doing G2 and up. Okay. Yeah, so I actually think that labeling like this is a good way to do it. And then a corn, what the fuck does that mean? And then again here with the big room sound. Again, excuse the roughness. This is just for the tutorial. So this is the kick. Again, this is when you need to sit down, make sure you've got your kick printed out to audio, and then you can go, wait a minute, that kick is massive. It's taking up the whole beat. From kick to kick is just solid bass. Okay? And then your next thing after you've seen what the kick waveform looks like, you check it out in an analyzer. And you can see that this thing is a monster. It's taking up plenty of frequencies in the spectrum. You can see that this top one here is showing the key because it's the highest peak. Okay, that's F1. This guy here is F2, an octave up. So both those F1 and F2 frequencies are full. So that's why this guy here is labeled F1 and F2. So don't even try and play a bass line. Don't even try and do your own sub or sine wave or any of that stuff. It won't work. It'll sound like shit. So you know that when you start to program a synth, you want it to be from F3 and up. Okay, so F3 on your keyboard. Let me just turn this off. So this guy here. See that if I this F3, F2, no good. F3, good. That's gonna allow you to. Well, I mean, I've also got this, which is cutting out all the lows. You know, this is cutting out all the F1 and the F2 frequencies. Wait, side chaining was off. There you have it. So I'm not actually sure if that tutorial was helpful and all this G1 and F1 crap, but if you do understand that, it's really, really helpful. You're making sure that you've got just one sound playing in that frequency or in that octave, okay? One sound is all you, in this low end, anyway, in the low end, you only need one sound to be doing all the work in these low octaves. Don't ever have them clashing. Just think about what song you're making and therefore what type of kick and bass that you need. If you're doing a Melbourne bounce, then you can have a really, you can have a nice fat kick, but make sure that it only lasts exactly half a beat or shorter, but it cannot bleed into the offbeat section. Okay, so then when you do your offbeat bass for Melbourne bounce, then you know that you can have a nice fat full sounding offbeat bass because you know that that offbeat section is completely empty. There's no kick bleeding into it. Electro, all about the big bass lines. Therefore, have a nice tight kick that still has the low end frequency. So this one still went all the way down to G1. Okay, but you know it's nice and small, so that you know that basically all this in here is going to be filled up with all your cool synth and lead bass skills. And then big room, don't even try and put a bass line in there because the kick is the kick and bass line in one. It does everything. If you've got any questions, feel free to fire them through, not into YouTube because I don't read that shit, but just go to my my Facebook, facebook.com/RyanNZ. Send me a message there. And yeah, follow the link below and you can download the kicks and those massive presets for those sounds. Hope that's been helpful and hopefully I'll be back soon. Alright, cheers mate.